I started my update video today, and I was still down in the dumps a bit, and just feeling like I'm coming out of a fog. After what happened last week, I was a bit of a zombie, and last night was the first night I felt like there was focus. I need a little more of it, but there was focus starting to come back, and the video ended up talking more about mourning and getting past what took place last week than it was of our horses. And I decided, you know what, it would be a final video about that. I'm not, I don't have these videos aren't, it's not a limited series on Paramount. I felt a little selfish last week because a number of people had messaged me thanking me for the video and wishing me condolences, and I felt, as I said, I felt embarrassed because those condolences should have been sent to Hunter's family, Hunter's fiance, his mom, his dad. I spoke to his dad last night briefly, and his mom, and it was his uncle that come up to me and said thank you for the video, and I was very sad, very emotional, and I there's lots of things I can talk about. There's no shortage of things to talk about in my mind, and I'm glad, as much as I was maybe a little embarrassed then. And the biggest reason I was embarrassed was because those videos, as I said to you, were as much for me as they were for you. But if they helped anybody, even one person out there, then so be it. But I realized while I was doing my video that maybe it was inappropriate to update the horses at the end of the video, like I did the other day. Maybe it would be wiser just to make your video. If somebody wanted to listen to it, great. But I wanted to make a separate video updating you on our horses. This weekend, I noticed that, one, as I said, I was starting to come out of a fog a little bit. You have to get get back on the horse, so to speak. You have to move forward, push forward. And, as I said in the video a little while ago, there's always going to be a room in my head for Hunter Myers. There's always going to be that voice telling me how dangerous this sport is. That door has to be closed when I'm racing. I'm here to do a job, and I have to remind myself also how much I love this job and how I wouldn't trade it for anything. So you have to push through, for nothing more than the love of the sport and the fact that I have a job to do for you. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, as I also said, my biggest thing in life and with you is humor, right? Bringing levity to a situation or being upbeat. And it just felt wrong being that person. Last night we were joking a little bit. First time since last Wednesday we joked in the driver's room or at the track. And a couple of times I felt bad doing it. But that's me, right? So I have to get back to being me. The last thing I want to do is be somebody different because of something like this. So let's talk about the horses. I didn't train the babies on Saturday. It was pouring rain. It probably did them some good. There is a virus going through the burn. You probably saw it last night. I suspect a little bit with Patrick De Piranha. Now, that was an incredibly quick mile last night. It was cold. It was rainy. It was windy. Trust me when I tell you, that mile last night was a 49 or 50 mile on a hot sunny night. On a hot sunny day or a warm evening at Northfield Park. That was a hell of a mile from Corey Kreiser's horse, and I think it just sucked the life out of Patrick De Piranha. Now, watching our horses race, you might say, well, Arison was good. We'll talk about him in a minute. Arison arrived the day before the race. He wasn't in the barn all week. So, I'm almost certain that it's funny because they don't come off their feed, they don't cough, there's no mucus, just temperatures. And it lingers for about a week. And the reason I know this is because Freedom Hill was horrid her first start. I know you looked, she raced okay, she finished up okay. She wasn't okay. She was flat from start to finish, never tightened the line, and really only got up for second because she's a competitive animal and she's a nice filly. That's it. It's the only reason she did. Whereas the other night, she got beat fair and square, but I think she was still a little weak from that virus. And it was a bit of a cold, windy night also, and she got beat fair and square. I don't know how good Chris Lems's horse is, but Freedom Hill was not bad the other night. I thought she was pretty good. But that was about it, right? Every other horse we raced, flat, or a version of flat. And I was just pulling up there. So Freedom Hill raced good and Trosa raced good. Now he's in another country, right? Neptune, I apologize to my partners in Neptune. You know, with everything going on the other night, I come off the track, realized that Neptune was racing, turned it on live. It had just finished. Went in and watched videos. I wasn't paying attention. I turned on the video like a complete idiot. I watched a video from the week before when he was 7th. God almighty, what are we going to do with this horse? You know, another bad performance. I texted James. I said, what's your take on this Neptune? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Messaged me back. He goes, I thought he raced pretty good. Where's the optimism from? This is like James is like, you know, if realistic is the middle, he's leaning left. Like he's leaning towards pessimistic, not optimistic. I thought he raced pretty good. He said, yeah, that foot's still bothering him, but, you know, it was a pretty good foot separation, and he's getting back. He's getting back to himself. But this guy must be really pumped about the week off he's about to have. He took his son to Disney. Mohawk doesn't race this week. They race Saturday. It's a good break for a lot of the drivers and trainers. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I post the video from yesterday, and somebody messaged me and said, Anthony, I know you're having a rough week, but for the love of God, Neptune raced pretty good. I'm like, look, this guy, another optimistic guy. Okay, bud. I pull up the line. I'm like, maybe the line looks good. I finished second. So I'm like, did I watch a different race? Did I come in and watch the wrong race? Yeah, I watched the one from the week before. So to my partners on Neptune, I apologize. Obviously, the horse raced good. God almighty. And Trosa raced great. Raced very, very good. I was really happy with him. As I said to you, Rosalind Alexander, now she showed up a couple of days, maybe 3 at the most before the race. So I'm not getting too excited there. But she doesn't look strong enough. She looks a little frail. And that's not a dig, as I said the other day, on Harry, on anybody. That's not a dig at all. But I believe it might be stress related. This is a filly that trained down, and once she got to about 2.5, started getting into her knee a little bit. Had to change her shoes, change her shoes, change her shoes. Raced her a couple of times. Her first start, you can see her getting into her knee. She is mauling her knee. Changed her gear again, changed her shoes again. Now, the next start, she was good, but she was weak. Well, from 2.5 to 58, she was a ball of stress. Maybe didn't want to go forward because she was hitting that knee. They say she eats really good. Well, I'm going to need to see her put some weight on. As I said to Jason, we're going to have to start treating her pretty aggressively for EPM, I believe. Just the way she's defined, the way she looks. And you may not see her in next week. And as much as, you know, Fire and Shine is a frustrating horse, and you guys may not know this, but from last year, January, when she's trained out, really nasty little filly to train. Pull and lug. I didn't mind her. I saw her improve as a horse, and I didn't mind her at all. But what happens is when you got a mediocre horse that's maybe a little sick, they look god-awful. And I don't think that there was a way she could look any worse than she did the other day. So we're going to draw her blood today, but, you know, I think everybody knows what's going on. Here's the burn. There's portions of the burn that need to be trimmed for the burn to remain strong. And if we're going on the track at 15-1 with a morning line of 25-1 in the bottom class that we can get in at Northfield Park, there's a good chance that Fire and Shine's probably not going to stay. I know somebody's going to say, well, she's only a long shot because, the way she's been racing, but she's a better filly. Hold on. She won 2 cheap races last year in 57 at the end of the summer and looked good. I haven't seen that horse reemerge just yet. And if that is the top of the, if that's her ceiling, was those 2 miles at the end of her 2-year-old season, well, I don't think there's going to be a place for her here full time. Rosemary Alexander's a little different. One, she trained down like one of her best horses. She hit her knee, it blew up, it ruined her whole season. She come back, we babied her. She had one really bad start at Scioto, but then had a great start. It was the last start of the year. Paced 55, 56 all year long, but looked like she could do. Neither were Buckeye horses. When push came to shove, neither was AJ. Somebody said, I can't believe AJ should have come back better than that. Hold on. He followed a bunch of speed. And paced 52-4 one night at Scioto on a hot night. It was Swingtown, one like 49 or 50. For the most part, he was a 54, 55 pacer. And that's the whole thing, is that we see some of the horses pace in X at 2, and we just believe that they should be faster at 3. Why? Did it ever occur to anybody that is as fast as they are? That's just what you see is what you got and what you're going to get. AJ's paced 55 this year, his first, second start back. And I'm sure he'll pace right back 55 again. He might pace 54. And although he was 4th the other night, absolutely, he should have won the race. 100%. I think he's in the right place with the right driver, where if James continues to drive him in that manner, that he can do in that class. And that's really what we're after. If Fire and Shine goes out and finishes 1st or 2nd the other night, maiden claimer or otherwise, I don't care. We're not talking about it. It's fine. I just want to see the horses compete on a regular basis in a competitive way. That's all I want to see. That's all you need to see. And if they can't, there's times they can't. Listen, we all know there's 2-year-olds in that barn right now that will get to the races or close to the races in the summer and not be good enough. That's just athletics. So, a little different situation with those 2 fillies. Roser and Alexander, I think we need to, and Jason and I will do that right now, sit down with a schedule and say, okay, what's best for this filly? 1, train her on the gallop from now on so she doesn't get into her knee, although she wasn't really at her knee the other night that bad at all. 2, let's get her definition looking better. Put a little weight on her. I'd like to see 60, 70, 80 pounds put on this filly. Get her feeling good. Turn that weight into muscle. And then I think you're going to start to see what she is and she isn't. I know she can do the class she was in the other night, for the love of God. Then we went to Sunday. I'm sure Patrick, well, 2 things. 1, that was a hell of a mile. They just sucked the life right out of him. 1. I know a lot of people saying, can we move him back to Stacy or over to Tim? Can we do this? Can we do that? Guys, he is 10 years old. I know everybody believes, and he looks great, but he's not a 48, 49, 50 pacer anymore. He may have one more resurgence coming down the road because although he's a little rowdy, he is sound. But I'm not sending him somewhere in hope he'll do better. Show me a class for Patrick the Brown. Maybe the 40 claimer at Scioto. I could see him doing there. Somebody said, he could do the 70 at Mohawk. No, he can't. Can't do the 70 at Mohawk. They're going to go 49 and 50 every week. Patrick did his best racing also. I don't know if you remember this, but on a 5/8. You start getting into 7/8, everybody can go as fast as him. You can in a 5/8 right now, too. But just, we're not going to use hope as a barometer, right? We're not going to use hope as our compass. We have to be able to find a place for the horse to race as is. You don't claim horses. You don't buy horses and you don't send horses hoping and thinking in your head they'll be better somewhere else. You should have a plan. And I do believe Patrick is not going to stay at Northfield. Now, he drops down to the class he won his last start, and the next time he wins will be his last start at Northfield Park for a little while. And I'm probably going to send him, race him in that 40 claimer at Miami Valley. I think there's a 40. And just so you know, the 40 claimer here at Northfield, that's what he was in last night. Now, he didn't have a tag on him, but that's the class. So we're going to look for a spot for him, do some good, and that'll be that. But we're not going to rely on hope to get Patrick somewhere winning. So, and aside from all that, I think he was a little bit under the weather last night. I can't believe that I watched all those horses. The only horse that had pop, no, two. Freedom Hill was about 90-95% on Saturday. She looked good. I know stop looking at times. You know, the track, when it's hot and cold, the track was deep on Saturday. It wasn't a very good track. Not to mention it was freezing cold. Come out Sunday, it's raining hard enough, off and on, that my eyes are still burning from last night. And it was cold. You know, the mile for Patrick was just too much. Now, we'll get to the other horse that raced great, was Arson. Now, I was mad at myself. It wasn't lost on me that the last time I was in with Kurt Suggs' horse, I got parked the whole way. I didn't know if he could make front, but I knew Aaron's horse could leave. There was about 3 horses inside me, maybe 4, that could really dance off the car. I'm looking left quick off the gate. I see the 2 horse falling off the gate. I see Tyler pushing through the inside. I thought maybe I can get away ahead of Tyler. And I did. Got away 4th. Now what? I don't want to be first over. You know, this is Arson's first trip on a half-mile track. Ever. First pari-mutuel race on a half-mile track. I don't want to be first over into Lightning on the Beach, although I think he's a better horse than Lightning on the Beach. And Lightning on the Beach is now in the front. And I'm sitting 4th. There's the great equalizer. Even if I'm right, and he is a better horse, he'd have to be a much better horse to come first over and win. At the quarter pole, Luke goes by me. Now, I watched Luke drive this horse last week. It laid outside and raced great and finished 2nd. I have time to get out onto Luke's back. I can hear Ronnie coming. I know it's Ronnie. But I have time to get out. But now, Arson's best work is done on the inside. Leave, sit, leave, sit, leave, sit. He's not really a first over grinder. And he's never been in a situation where I have to leave. Remember, these are aged horses. Forget about the 2- and 3-year-old season. It means nothing. You're racing against 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds. This is a different crew. So now I can leave, get away 4th in the first turn, and come first over at the quarter pole, 2nd over at the quarter pole. Do I really want to do that? I look over, and Ronnie's horse looks like he's laboring a bit. Night Shadow. He doesn't look good tonight. I'm thinking, what if Luke's horse isn't that good? Aaron's horse is. Kurt's behind him. Now I'm 3 wide down the backstretch or into the last turn with Arson into those horses. You know what? Let's just stay left. Mistake number 1. Halfway down the backstretch, Ronnie's horse was flat. Halfway down the backstretch, he's done. Now it's raining hard, and it's bothering my vision. It had to be bothering Chris's in front of me. He had lots of room to come out and attack 2nd over. And just as I go to come out, Chris comes out. But now Chris's horse, it looks like Luke's horse is done. Aaron's on the front. The horse to beat, really, in my mind right now, is Kurt's in the 2-hole. First over is Luke, 2nd over is Chris. There's mistake number 2. All I should have done is just wheeled him, just filed him right, and let him rock. And if I do that, it is, what do we have, 25 feet? Yep. I would have won from here to our doorway with Arson last night. Easily. He would have jogged. Instead, I tried to be cute, stayed left, and never got out. Not once down the lane. And he was climbing over them, going under the wire. I said to him this, I was mad after the race. It was a stupid drive. I'd just get the horse to the outside. You know better. That was a bad drive. You know what bothered me even more? I went out in the next race, and did the exact same thing. Cost me the win in the last race, too. the 14th. Second over down the back straight, getting into the 5/8 turn. The horse first over looked done. I went back to the inside. He was more done. Stupid drive. Anyway, a lot went into those dumb drives. I mean, I can sit here and be angry at myself, but when you factor in the way our horses have raced all weekend, I guess that little voice inside my head was saying, "Listen, it's a long year. Be conservative." Not for the horse on the 14th, but definitely for Arson. Anyway, the good news is it's going to take a better horse that raced last night to beat Arson next week in the same situation. He draws inside of 5. He will be on the front end. Because he can leave like a runner. Draws outside, well, I'm just going to have to do a little tidier job with him. So that is what has taken place over the last 5 days. I'm going to do my best to get back to my job full time and try to bring the old Anthony back, some humor, some levity, and get back to work with the horses. Happy with the fact that we didn't get to train on Saturday because there were some temperatures on Sunday. My plan was, I know you're going to see Aunt Lily get into qualify tomorrow, and I was going to take her and Mountaineer Prince over again. We had his Splints crowd. I told you that. But depending on how the draw looks on Thursday, if I'm not in too early with one of our own, I can just stay here and qualify Aunt Lily. Plan on probably schooling Memento Mori also. I don't have to go with Memento Mori. He's been very, very, very good of late. The whole impetus of going over there, aside from giving Aunt Lily that little extra bit of time and qualifying her on a 5/8 mile track, was to get Captain Incredible going. I know a lot of people have been asking where he's at. Well, first off, we're right on track. We haven't lost any time. We'd made up time and given some time and made up time. And he was going to be ready to train Friday at 1.5 miles strong. Not super strong, but strong. And then go over and school on Tuesday while he spiked the temperature on Friday morning. Didn't jog Saturday. I jogged him yesterday. He had a slight temperature in the morning. I jogged him just a very light 1.5 miles. I'm going to go in and get an update on a number of those horses right now. But he can't school tomorrow. So the series next month is in question, I would say, at the very least. You're not going, it's not a cheap series. This is a 3-year-old stake. I won it last year with Time Is On My Side in 51-3. So we're not bringing him over there off a 2.6 training mile in the jog cart. So that's probably out. Where does that put us with him? We'll see. Happy that he was feeling good yesterday anyway on the track. And as I said, I didn't get any updates from anybody this morning saying there was any temperatures, any issues, any problems. So I'm hoping the entire barn is back to its up. It's the weather. You can't have 21 degrees Celsius one day and then, freezing the next, and then at night below freezing, and then the next day going up to 8 or 9 Celsius, and then you can't do that. This is what happens. Now we have a virus that, the good news is that it's not lingering with mucus and coughing and horses coming off their feed. It's just a virus with a little bit of a temperature, and I'm sure it'll pass quickly. It probably already has, and hopefully when I go in there, everybody's jogged, there's been no temperatures to speak of, and everybody's back on track, and that would be my hope. So, no racing tonight. Mohawk is off for a week, so we have nothing to do tonight. The busiest my day could be was if we actually ended up going to Pennsylvania with these horses, which at this point I don't know that we will. Tuesday we have horses to potentially qualify at the Meadows, but definitely race at night. Wednesday's a little trickier. We're going to try and train the babies and leave here in such a time that I can make it to drive Melisandre in race number 2 at the Meadows. I'm going to stay at the Meadows till race 4 or 5. I can't drive Vehement. I think Brady Brown will get the drive. I'm going to drive directly to Miami Valley. In hindsight, knowing that Brett wasn't in the Open, I could have put Brett on Looks Like Money. The only issue with doing that is he's not tricky, but Looks Like Money doesn't feel like he wants to leave, and then about 4 steps out of the gate, he just finds that other gear and he takes off. Well, if you're flat-footed in those 4 or 5 steps, you're getting away 8th. If you're not, you're getting away 1st and 2nd. It's hard to explain that. And I don't think he's going to have a lot of starts. This will probably be his only start down there. Yo Mister will go back in racing there, although he probably drops down next week. But Wednesday of this week, and then we'll look for, if they're almost, or they do happen to fill the open trot at the Meadows, we'll go Wednesday at Miami Valley, back Thursday or Friday of next week at the Meadows, and that will be the plan for Looks Like Money. Spitfire Overseas in the backup class. I know Stacy's done a great job with him, getting him back good. We had to do some vet work on him after his break the other day. She said he trained well. He's going to race in race 12. You're going to see him go back to Ontario also. He was racing well in the open there, and that's where he should be. It frees up all those classes for Yo Mister also. So that's the plan for those horses. Save America is ready to rock. Rock Shining Star is ready to rock. We have a number of horses getting ready now. I guess my most interest this week, aside from racing Melisandre, will be seeing if Arrowhead Hanover gets in and where he gets in. Really excited about this Colts sophomore season coming up, and excited to see what he's going to do this week. So it's nice to actually be able to say the word excitement. It's nice to feel like I'm getting back in the swing of things, and hopefully we can keep that going without too many hiccups. So take care. We'll talk to you all soon. Have a wonderful week if you can.